All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Mainly Hoops podcast. If you've been enjoying our content, please make sure to like and subscribe. We appreciate all your support. We're diving into the SEC tournament here. Always a fun one, year in and year out. Always one that is typically a little unpredictable. I think this year maybe a little more predictable, but we'll see. It's always a fun tournament. Marcus, I'm going to kick things off with you. Who needs a deep SEC tournament run the most here coming into March?
Well, it depends who you ask, because if you ask Joe Lenardi, Auburn needs, maybe if they lose, they'd take a jump. But no, I mean, I think Auburn is a team that needs a run the most.
To get into the tournament, yeah.
Right? Like Bracket Matrix has them as the second team out right now. They really, I think, are up against it and need to win probably 2 games to have a shot. Win 3 games, and they're probably going to make it to Dayton at least. They got to beat Mississippi State in the first round, and then they'll get Tennessee and then Vanderbilt in the quarterfinal if they win that one. So I think Auburn for sure. I think Texas is one that needs one just to feel comfortable. If they can win 2 games, they'll have solidified their spot. If they can get to the quarterfinal, if they take down Ole Miss and then Georgia. And I think Texas is, watching around the country who else is winning. Are there bid stealers? I think they start to get a little bit nervous. Based on how they performed last week with, if they had beaten Oklahoma on Saturday at home, I think we're not really having this conversation about Texas. They had kind of worked their way into sort of firmly in. ESPN put out a thing that they were firmly in that group that was in the tournament. But I think things have maybe changed over the last few days. I still think they will make it. I still think they deserve to make it. But, they've put themselves in a bit of a trickier spot. And then I think a couple other teams, maybe like Texas A&M, who started to work their way down. They're one of the last 10 seeds according to Bracket Matrix. So maybe they need it. Same thing with Missouri. I think they're both fine, but again, I think that they could both use a win or 2 in this tournament to make themselves feel pretty confident.
Cody, do you have similar thoughts and maybe add in who needs it most for the culture just of their team going into the tournament, just to feel confident?
Yeah, I would pretty much echo the same thoughts as Marcus for the teams that truly need it, the teams that are in survival mode. I mean, I would add in Oklahoma. Can they get there? I'm not 100% sure. I mean, they'll get South Carolina in the first round, then A&M. Even if they win those 2 games, they're still going to need to do more. They probably need to get to the final to get this done. And if they keep shooting the way they're shooting it, they're probably going to get there. I mean, they're shooting it over the last month. I think they're shooting 46% from 3, which is pretty insane. And they're going to, if they matched up with Arkansas in the quarterfinal, that game would be an absolute shootout. And who knows what would happen there. So keep an eye on Oklahoma if they keep, lighting it up on offense the way that they are. But I guess from a confidence standpoint, from teams that are already in that, could use a couple wins, I would say Georgia. I mean, Georgia hasn't really played well in league play. It's not a team that I've really loved all year long, but they're sitting on the 8 line, and they still haven't really played well throughout conference. They've taken a step back from after they beat up on all the, all that bye game competition. But yeah, I think they need a run. I guess Tennessee could use a win over Vandy. I think that would really help them. But I think they're going to be okay. If Amen's in the mix, I think that's a team that can make a run regardless. Besides that, I don't really see anyone else that truly needs it. I mean, I guess Kentucky, but I never know what I'm getting from Kentucky. Kentucky could lose to LSU, and it just wouldn't shock me in the slightest. So, but besides that, I pretty much echo all the same thoughts as Marcus.
Yeah, I would say Kentucky's needed a run this whole season, to be honest. But yeah, I agree with the tournament. I think everyone in that second round kind of area, Missouri, Tennessee, Georgia, A&M, I mean, they need to win that game and at least put up a fight in the quarterfinal. And I think they'll look good heading into the tournament. They'll feel pretty good too. Marcus, I'll ask you, who's the overperformers? Who's the underperformers compared to our preseason thoughts of the SEC?
Yeah, I know from my thoughts, and I think, thinking back, Cody's thoughts as well in the preseason, Texas A&M is certainly a team that we were not high on, didn't really expect a lot from, thought the defense wasn't going to be very good. Thought they just had holes on this roster, and they've sort of started to become more evident, as we've seen them fall down the ranks and end up, what they finished as the 6th seed. They were, first in the league for a while, and still they weren't ranked in the AP poll yet, which said a lot, I think. It wasn't a team that had played the gauntlet of the SEC yet, but even still, for this team to be probably in the tournament under Bucky McMillan in his first year wasn't really what we expected. Kind of expected this team to be somewhere down near that, like South Carolina, Ole Miss ranking, like 14th, 15th in this league. But, they found themselves having a pretty good season. Vanderbilt, I think, is another one. I didn't really expect them to be sitting here with a double bye in the SEC tournament. I thought they were a solid team, going to be pretty good, maybe in that somewhere between 9 through 6 seed in this league. But for them to be the 4, get a double bye, I think is quite impressive for Mark Byington. Another team is Georgia. I know for me personally, I expected them to be much worse, and the transfers came in, played quite well. The front court has held it down pretty well. Hasn't been pretty throughout conference play. They've had their fair share of ups and downs, but like Jeremiah Wilkinson has been fantastic coming over from Cal, and they're the 7th seed in the SEC, so they've certainly overperformed. I was thinking they were going to be more again in that like 13 to 16 range, like not the bottom, but right there, not a very good team. And then one other one, I guess, would be Missouri. I'd say slight overperformance by them. I didn't really think that they had the pieces to get a bye in this tournament. I kind of expected more of a 10 seed or so, and then they ended up as the 8 getting a bye in this tournament. So Mark Mitchell, great year for him, averaged over 17 a game. He's become quite the college player. North Carolina fans that I know always have said Mark Mitchell sucks, but he's had a nice college career at this point now over at Missouri. So shout out Missouri for another strong year under Dennis Gates.
Yeah, shout out Mark Mitchell.
Yeah,
as well. Did you throw out any underperformers, Marcus? Anyone?
I think the underperformers are
kind of obvious.
Sort of obvious, like
Yeah.
Kentucky really not the season they anticipated. Injuries have played a part in that. Another piece of that is just these roster pieces just not really fitting together at all. They spent a bunch of money. It just didn't work out. That being said, they still have shown the ability to beat really good teams. So, if they're able to get hot here over these next few weeks, maybe watch out for Kentucky. I know early in the year we were like, this team's a Final Four caliber team. I don't think they're really that, but they do have talent on roster that could lead them on a little bit of a run. Auburn's a team that is underperformed, I think. They have the big win at Florida, of course, but this is a team that has been consistently one of the tops in the league the last several years, and obviously the coaching change happened right before the season started, and things just haven't really worked out. Todd Pettiford hasn't had a very good year in his sophomore season. After his freshman year, where it looked like, man, this guy's going to be one of the players to take over the SEC next year, that just has not happened. He struggled efficiency-wise. He's had games where he has 25. He's had games where he's got like 6. So it hasn't been overly pretty at Auburn. It'd been one of the most inconsistent teams in this league. And then Tennessee would be one I would say. They've shown their fair share of inconsistencies as well. Injuries have played a factor in that. They've been down at the front court position through different stretches of the season. The guard play isn't really that of a typical Tennessee team. So, I think they're trending maybe a little bit better at the moment, but even still, I just think it's been a little bit of a down year in terms of expectations for this Tennessee team.
Yeah, those are definitely the 3 teams that came to my mind. So I completely agree. Cody, I'll ask you the question now. Who's the players to watch here? I feel like the SEC is full of really good talent, really good players. But who do you have your eye on coming into this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. You could name a few players off each team in this league. There's so much depth. Even though it's a little bit down from last year, I guess from a quality standpoint, like it's still the deepest league in the country. So there's plenty of great players. I mean, Mark Mitchell was one that we mentioned. Like, yeah, he definitely does not suck. He's definitely a very good player. He's shown that for a couple of years now. So he's a guy to look out for. I'll look at the first round a little bit at first. I'll take Owe for Kentucky. Obviously, he feels like he scores 20 points every single night. I don't know. Does he still have his double-digit scoring streak going? I think he does. I didn't see anything where he scored single digits, but him versus Max McKinnon of LSU, like nobody has really talked about him at all. He's been awesome since D-Dan Thomas got hurt, and he was good before that. And his numbers have seen an uptick. His usage, that should be a fun game. I wouldn't be shocked if LSU won that just because of Kentucky's volatility at times. You can see Keyshawn Hall barrel his way into the lane and either draw 20 fouls, get 10 offensive rebounds. Maybe he could put up a 40-piece. And then against a guy who did put up a 40-piece against Auburn in Josh Hubbard, he had 35 in the first half at home when they played Auburn, and then Auburn almost came all the way back to win that game. That was a super exciting one. So, I mean, 2 really good players there. Dalen Swain at Texas is awesome. Xavier Brown and Nigel Pack are, 2 of the best guys. It's probably the most underrated guard duo in the entire nation. Those guys can, when they're in pick and roll, they can just dice up anybody, as they did to Texas on Saturday night. A few other ones. Don't really like talking about the top end guys. Everyone knows about those guys. Tyler Tanner and Duke Miles, another super fun backcourt. I think they have some sneaky, decent matchups. At least the backcourt does, and I think they have a real chance to make some noise in this tournament. So look out for those guys. Obviously, Alabama. Name your player, Philon and Holloway. You just look at these rosters, and it's like, this is probably the most talent when it comes from the guards in the entire country. Because I haven't even talked about the SEC Player of the Year, Darius Acuff, yet. Him and Malik Thomas have absolutely been lighting up the world. And then, Tommy Haug at Florida, one of my favorite players in the entire country, should be a lottery pick in this upcoming draft. Just does, all of the little things. There's really nothing on the floor that, he can't do. He doesn't do anything. He does some things at a spectacular level, obviously, but he doesn't have a true weakness. So he's a phenomenal player. I don't know if I would have picked him for SEC Player of the Year or not over Acuff, but, either way, he's a phenomenal basketball player.
Yeah, I think we can go on and on. There's just so many good players in this tournament. If you're looking for good guard play, good just individual play, this is a tournament you want to watch. It's just so much talent, always in the SEC. So it's very exciting. Marcus, I'm going to ask you the big question here. Who's going to be in the championship, and who are you taking to win it all?
Yeah, I've got Florida coming out of the top half. I think I just don't see anybody in the top half that can really take them down with as well as they're playing right now, as dominant as the front court is. It's not the same SEC we saw last year where there were, several teams that could really, duke it out at the top. Down bottom, I've been super torn over the bottom. I'm going to say Arkansas comes out because I just think that Darius Acuff has been so good this year. And then, some of the other pieces, like no Acuff this weekend, Malik Thomas really stepped up, helped them pick up a huge road win at Missouri. There's just so much talent on that Arkansas team. We saw Arkansas go at Alabama and almost knock them off, despite only having like 7 players in that game and having to bring in 2 like walk-on when guys fouled out, and still sending it to double overtime and nearly knocking them off. So I think Arkansas there, but I could honestly see just about anybody outside of South Carolina and Ole Miss coming out of the bottom. Like I really think that you could make an argument for a lot of teams there. Obviously, some have greater chance than others, but I really could see a lot of teams coming out of the bottom. But I'm going to take Florida to win it. I just trust them the most, as I said at the beginning of this. So I'll say Florida over Arkansas in the final.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against Florida here. They've just looked so good down the stretch. And I totally agree. That bottom is kind of up for grabs. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I could kind of see any of these teams, with the exception of South Carolina and Ole Miss, making it to the championship. Cody, what are your thoughts? Are you going with Florida as well, or are you going a different route?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Eli Ellis will like your disrespect of South Carolina. Maybe he has something to say here, but no, probably not. I do have Florida winning this over Arkansas as well. But like I mentioned, I do think Vanderbilt has a real chance. I think Vanderbilt's pick and roll offense can potentially give Florida a tough time. I mean, they put up, I think it was a 98-94 game at Vanderbilt. Florida's size is probably just a little bit too much. They can foul out Vanderbilt's front court in 25 minutes, and they're playing small ball the rest of the game. But I think that's Vandy's path to winning that game in a semifinal matchup is taking Florida's guards off the bounce, executing on switches. I know Chinyelu and company can guard in space, but Tyler Tanner and Duke Miles are 2 of the quickest guards in the entire country. And I think there's a chance there at the top half. That obviously Vandy needs to get by Tennessee first, or even Auburn. Like those teams are super physical, can give them a tough time on the interior. So, yeah, but I still have Florida at the top half. I don't really see Missouri or Kentucky taking them down, even though Missouri did beat them at the beginning of conference play. That was when Florida they hadn't completely figured themselves out yet, and I'm not sure they had made a 3 all year up to that point. Now they're finally starting to make some shots. So they're dangerous when they make shots. If they make 35% of their threes in any given game, like they're not losing. And that's pretty much against any team, maybe even the top teams in the country, because they're the best. Florida's the best rebounding team. They're probably the most daunting interior, like them against Michigan, I guess, or Duke. But yeah, so I'll take Florida in the final. And I guess a team to look out for at the bottom. I know it's like the bottom half's gettable. I do think most teams down there could see themselves in the final, but I think you need to look out for Texas. I think there's a real shot that they can run through this tournament. They've beaten every team that's going to be in front of them. I think outside of Arkansas, but they match up well. I think Ole Miss, they should just beat just because they're, flat out better than them, because they should win on the glass consistently. They can handle the Georgia pressure, and they can bully Alabama on the interior. They can get to the free throw line and win the shot volume battle. So I can easily see Texas getting to the semifinal. It's just a matter of how they contain Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas in the semis. And then maybe they even get to the final and get to see Florida. I actually don't hate their matchup against Florida, even though they did lose at home against them. Florida made a ton of shots in that game from the perimeter, but Texas has the size. They can operate in isolation against Florida that ISO funnels a lot. So there is a world where Texas can get to the final and have a real shot here, but I did go Florida and Arkansas with Florida winning.
Let's have some fun here. Let's do Florida over Texas, Cody. What do you think?
I mean, that was in the back of my mind. I did consider that, but I worry about their pick and roll defense if they match up with either. I mean, Alabama can obviously dice them up in pick and roll as well, but Texas is gonna have to win they're gonna have to get to the final with their shot volume edge, fouling out the other front courts.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say much because I got Florida over Arkansas as well in the championship. So I just, Florida's got so much size and they've been so well, like playing so well down the stretch here that it's hard to bet against them right now. So I'm going Florida over Arkansas. Arkansas just for the reason of Darius Acuff is the best player in this tournament, and I think he's going to prove it and get them to the championship over Alabama. But definitely an exciting tournament to watch. Anything to add here?
I almost on the fly when I was going through. I almost on the fly said Texas too. So I just didn't want to look like the homer guy.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're going to go crazy, if you want like a bold final for me, I would say Vanderbilt, Texas, with Texas winning it over Vanderbilt. I mean, they assaulted Vanderbilt on the glass in that first matchup. Like, I was early in conference play, but they match up well with the top teams in this league and they can compete physically. So wouldn't shock me in the slightest. I think they're plus 8,000 to win this tournament. I don't know if I would recommend that because they have to play on the first day of the tournament on a Wednesday. But yeah, I mean, if you want to throw a flyer out there, I would probably go with Texas.
Yeah, definitely. The one matchup I'd be rooting for in the championship would be a Texas or Vanderbilt. I just think that would be pretty exciting for the SEC tournament. But we're going to wrap things up here as long as you guys don't have anything else to add. All right. As always, thank you for listening to the Mainly Hoops podcast.